Now joining the Believe in NFL Draft Prospect podcast, a interview from, I guess if you guys have been following me for a few years, you know I have this weird acclivity to Northern Iowa players, but we got another talented one on the horizon here for NFL Draft fans. Got Mr. Christian Boyd, star defensive tackle. I was just talking with Christian before we got started here, and Jackson Scott Brown, who was a old friend of the show, actually told me about Christian a couple years ago now, just kind of keeping your eyes on him. He's a really talented younger player. And I have to say, I think Jackson was on to something, Christian. So I appreciate you for joining the show, man. How's everything been so far this season? I know it's probably busy times for you right now.
Oh, it's been good. Yeah, I'm excited to be on the show. And our season started off kind of slow, but we're starting to kick things back up, starting to find ourselves and starting to ball out a little bit.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm excited to talk ball a little bit with you here, man, because like I said, I was able to watch 3 games of coaches film so far. I know you had a really nice game against Indiana State that was able to catch pretty recently here, but really thought every game I've seen, I popped on Air Force for a little bit. I popped on the North Dakota game and the Sacramento State game so far. And I was really impressed, obviously, by everything that you put on film, man. And it's always fun for me because I really feel like Northern Iowa is doing a great job to continuing to produce guys like Spencer Brown, Jackson Scott Brown, who was just in the USFL, Trevor Penning, obviously, Ellerson Smith a couple years ago. Some great football players, obviously. So I guess, Christian, maybe if we could start back at high school a little bit, because you're a Blue Springs high school guy in Kansas City, Missouri. So Missouri guy, is that the same high school? I could be wrong about this, but Briley Moore, did he also come out of the same high school?
He actually went to our rival school, Blue Springs South.
And, gotcha. Okay. I was close though, man. I was pretty close there. All right. So talk to me, Christian, a little bit. Coming out of high school, Missouri kid originally. How did you ultimately end up at Northern Iowa?
Well, I originally was committed to KU, but then after the summer they rescinded my offer, and so I went to Northern Iowa, and we actually had a pipeline of Blue Spring kids going to Northern Iowa, like DeAndre Hall, who was. I think he played at UNI from like 13 to like 15 or something like that. And he went to the league from there. And like you said, Briley Moore, who was actually a crosstown rival who went to UNI. And when I came there on my official visit, it just felt right. And I knew that Northern Iowa being a great defensive team or known for their defense, I know it'd be a great chance for me to go to that next level and have a good career.
Mm-hmm. And I know when I looked at your recruiting background a little bit, Christian, I saw you were like a 3-star kid. So you had some offers, you had a decent recruiting profile. I feel like a lot of I remember when I was talking to Spencer Brown and like he had no stars and he was just this undersized former tight end when he was in high school, all that good stuff. Sounds like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I guess you were a little more physically advanced as far as maybe what some Northern Iowa kids usually are coming in.
Yeah. I feel like I was. And that's really what Northern Iowa was known for, their weight room program, like transforming people like Spencer Brown and Ellerson Smith and Trevor Penning into monsters. So, yeah.
Well, it's funny, man. I've talked to all those guys in the past, and they always talked about the jungle juice that UNI kind of gives to their younger guys to get them working. Talk to me a little bit about that strength and conditioning program, though, man. I've actually had the ability to talk to a couple guys in the strength and conditioning program. I know they do an incredible job down there, and just the transformations that you guys have. I mean, you take some really talented football players and you've molded kind of them into some great ones over the years. So just a little maybe sneak peek into that development process for you guys.
Well, it all starts with our strength and conditioning coach, Jed.
Yep. Coach Smith, right?
Yeah, Coach Smith. He really invests in us. And like you said, the jungle juice is really just protein mixed with Gatorade. And you just chug that before practice, before the lift, and after practice, after the lift. And then you start to have the gains, especially from our weight room programs that he puts us through. And it's tough, but you surely see the results soon. Like in 2 weeks, you start to see the results, and then you just want to keep getting bigger, keep getting stronger, keep getting more cut.
Well, it's funny, man. When I was in college, Jungle Juice was a little something different, just a little tiny bit different. But I just love hearing about it, man. Because again, I mean, Coach Smith, I actually had the opportunity to talk to him on the phone, I think like a year or two ago, and he kind of gave me the insight as far as I know you guys have like this, like a multiple step program as far as like the body maturation and the jungle juice and all that good stuff. So really excited to continue to see you guys kind of develop, man. So talk to me, Khristian, because I know you are a player that, I mean, it's not new to the program. You've been there for several years now. I know the spring season last year was when I really started getting you on my radar a little bit during the COVID year, I should say. And I feel like you've just gotten better and better each season. So can you talk just a little bit about your maturation as a football player? Because I feel like, I mean, this film that you're putting up so far this season, man, I mean, I thought you were a good player the last couple of years. This year, I really think that you've taken a big step forward, obviously.
I appreciate that. Well, yeah, playing next to Brinkman, Jared Brinkman and Tim Butcher, and really with Coach Pop, he's helped me so much with my maturation over the years, understanding how to play at the D1 level and really just hammering at the techniques and the habits. It's the small stuff with Coach Pop. Like, we work on our steps every day, our hands, our hand placement, rolling our hips. And I feel like he hammers on that stuff. And I feel like it's starting to show a lot more every year.
And I was texting a scouting buddy about this the other day, Khristian, because I mean, I was watching you on film, obviously, but then I just start writing down, like, I know Caden's a good player, right? Number 2. And I know that Devin's a really talented player, too, number 8. But I mean, across the board, man, I mean, Devin's like 6'5", 250. Caden's like 6'5", 260 plus. You have some freshman 96 that I was watching that was like 6'6". I'm like, where the heck are these guys coming from, man? Can you talk to me a little bit about the talent that you guys have in the defensive line room right now? A lot of good bodies in there.
Yeah, well, a lot of people thought that since we lost some talented seniors last year, that we were kind of thin at the D line, but now you're starting to see that we're actually a lot deeper than you would think. Like Cannon Butler, number 96, like, he was actually a DN, underweight DN that came in, and Farley was like, we need you to start playing D tackle, and then he started playing D tackle, and he just got better at it, and now he's starting to flourish at that position. And Caden and Dev, I mean, you saw last year, they were beasts. And they're just getting better and taking the next steps. And I feel like we got some younger guys that don't even play right now, like number 94, Carter Hewitt, Sean Wendell, 92. We just got guys that are, if they need to step up, they're going to step up. Like, and I feel like that's going to be excited to see them take that next step.
And I know before we started, Khristian, you talked a little bit about how Jackson Scott Brown kind of gave you like a welcome to college type of moment when you first got on campus. You've been able to go against a lot of talented offensive linemen during your time at UNI. I mean, not even counting the players you're seeing on a weekly basis in the Valley, you know, playing the North Dakota States of the world, who always have a couple of nice guys, obviously, every year. But you've been able to practice against guys like Jackson. And even though you're more of you're an interior player, I know you've probably seen Spencer Brown a little bit. You've seen Trevor Penning a little bit. What has that done for you, being able to play against NFL caliber players on a day-to-day basis and make yourself better?
Oh, it's incredible, because I mean, that's just motivation. Seeing Trevor get drafted in the first round, that just adds more to the flame. And then seeing Spencer and Jackson succeed so well in college, and then having to go against them every day, it really molded me into the type of player I am today. Especially Jackson, I mean, because he was a dog. I mean, he brought it every day, every practice, every play. And I feel like that helped me out so much. And I feel like that's what I needed to take my game to the next level.
Yeah, no, that really is like an iron sharpened iron moment. I feel like that's really cliche to say, like, the best offensive line you see every day is the one you see in practice, but that literally was you early on in your career, which is pretty crazy to think about. Curious for you, because, I mean, I think you have a lot of penetration style to your game, but you're also a bigger player, obviously. But I see that number 99, man, and I can't help but think that maybe you model your game after Aaron Donald a little bit. Am I right there, or there's some other guys that maybe you model your game after a little bit?
Yeah, well, Aaron Donald for sure. I mean, that's my favorite player. But I've been rocking the 99 since I started playing football, since my 3rd grade. So I would say that I had it first. But for sure, it's just kind of crazy how he wears 99. And a lot of people say, like, when I had short hair, a lot of people say I look like Aaron Donald, and my play style was kind of like his. But I mean, that's Aaron Donald. Nobody plays like Aaron Donald, but he's definitely one of the dudes. And then I would say, like, Ndamukong Suh. That was another one of my favorite players growing up. And that's kind of who I really modeled my game after, a big D tackle that can stop the run and that can pass rush also.
Yeah. Well, and Khristian, I know that you're able to do a lot of things in the system for Northern Iowa. Like, you're a guy, to your point, that could play some nose, could play out to 3. I think that you have length that you could play in an odd front. You could play a little 4-4-eye, do all that type of stuff. Yeah. How important is the versatility aspect to your game? Because I feel like on the next level, especially when you get that opportunity, a lot of teams, whether they're a even front, odd front, whatever system they come from, I feel like you are a player that can play in multiple fronts.
Well, what's crazy is last year, we kind of had injuries to some of the older guy, like Bronte Wells. He was kind of hurt at the beginning of the year, so I actually started at DN.
Well,
Yeah, the first game and the second game against Iowa State, and then against Sacramento State, and I feel like that also helped take my games to the next level because I know what the DNs do now, and I know their responsibilities and their what they're supposed to do. So I feel like that just helped me out become a better D tackle. So yeah, I literally played from the zero tech all the way to the fives.
well, and Khristian, oh, sorry, Khristian, I think you just dropped out for me. Oh, oh, there you are. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got a phone call.
Oh, no worries at all. No worries at all. We'll just cut that section out. I'll start you off with the next question in just a second, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, Khristian, I have to ask you this, man, for like the preparation aspect of everything. One thing that I really loved about your game was I feel like you have good feet and you have good hands and you really know how to kind of work one of them off of each other. Can you talk to me a little bit about just the move arsenal? Because I feel like your hands have gotten a lot more refined, but I think people kind of underestimate how important it is for the lower body and the upper body to kind of work together.
Yeah, like a big thing that I wanted to work on this year was my hands. I mean, it was my feet, my first two steps, and utilizing kind of like a jab step inside and then working to the outside, or a jab step outside, working to the inside. And I feel like Coach Pop helped me a lot with that, and using my hands. Um, that's really what I was working on a lot this summer and during fall camp. And I feel like they're so important to be in unison because as soon as you defeat the hands of the O lineman, then you could work the move and finish inside or finish outside.
Yeah. And like you said, kind of to start us off before, I think even before we started recording, you guys got off to a little bit of a tough start. I know you had a close loss to North Dakota, and so you got off to an 0-3 start, but you have won 2 straight games. I know you guys dominated Western Illinois, got a victory over Indiana State. You're taking on Illinois State this upcoming weekend. How has kind of the team been progressing through a couple, a little bit of a little bit of a tough start, but obviously you guys are getting stuff right on track the last couple of weeks.
Well, like you said, the loss against North Dakota was tough, and then we played a good team in Sac State at home, and then we knew that we were kind of in a hole, but we thought that we could have two options: we could run from it, or we could go head first into adversity. And I feel like we're going head first into knowing that we got to change the season around, and I feel like we're heading in the right direction with our coach and with the seniors on the team, including myself, telling these guys like, hey, we could turn the season around. We got a home stretch coming up. All we got to do is go one game at a time, one day at a time.
Yeah. And so Khristian, every time someone asks me like who are some small school guys that I should take a look at for NFL draft purpose, I'm like, just go look at the Missouri Valley guys, man, because that's the best conference. That's the SEC of FCS football, in my opinion. Yep. What is it like just playing against that type of competition each and every week? I mean, we just talked about North Dakota. Obviously, they're a good team, pretty traditionally. South Dakota State, North Dakota State, a lot of great teams in the Valley.
Mm-hmm. Well, every time it's a Missouri Valley game on, it's going to be a tough game. Good defenses, great offenses. It's great going against that type of competition every week because like when you play teams that aren't from the Missouri Valley Conference, it's kind of like, oh, this is like a different feel. But like when we play in-conference games, it's going to be a fist fight, and we love those type of games.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. I only have a couple questions left for you. This is fantastic. So I know, obviously I'm sure you had a lot of goals set before the season, whether that is team goals, whether that is individual goals. Kind of looking forward to where you guys are now, sitting here at 2-3, getting back on track. What are some goals that you have set now for the remainder of this season? And it could be, again, team goals, individual goals. What would make it the rest of the year kind of a successful one for you?
Well, yeah, even though we are 2-3, we're still 2-1 in conference right now after facing Western Illinois, Indiana State. So we understand that we still have a lot of conference games left, and that we can still win conference. And I feel like that's really what it comes down to. If we win conference, we're going to be able to be in the mix to compete for a championship. When you're in the mix for Missouri Valley Conference, you're in the mix to be a great playoff team. So that's really where our focus is. And I would say individually is just getting better every week. Like last week, I feel like I had a good performance, but I want to take it to the next level, and I want to do that every week and every play, every practice. That's what my focus is.
So Christian, I know that with the COVID eligibility and all that good stuff, you're technically a junior, but you can come out 2023 NFL draft, maybe it's 2024 NFL draft. Obviously, I don't know the future, but my last question is, obviously, I'm a person that thinks that you have the ability to play on the NFL level. I think that you have that type of talent. So two-part question to end you. One, just how long has that been a dream for you to professionally be a professional football player, play in the NFL, all that good stuff? And I guess the second part is, how much of a blessing is it to know that, just in a few months or a little over a year, you could be a professional football player?
I would say that I first started realizing it was really my first couple years playing Pee Wee football. I mean, I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, so I was a Chiefs fan, and everywhere I went, I was a big kid growing up. Everybody's telling me, "You're gonna play for the Chiefs one day. You're gonna play for the Chiefs one day." And then I started watching football and started understanding, and I was like, "Well, I really like this game, and I really love this game." And I feel like at a young age, I was like, "Yeah, this is what I want to do." And I would say to your second part of the question, I would say it's just a blessing being able to do like something like this interview,
Mhm.
or like just having my name out there, because I mean, yeah, I know Northern Iowa was like a bigger FCS school, but like we're still not Power Five or the big schools. So I always feel like that's a chip on my shoulder,
Sure.
and I feel like that's always gonna be a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah. Well, keep using it, man, because you're playing great football right now. Again, joined by Christian Boyd, defensive tackle out of Northern Iowa. If you haven't caught him yet, turn on the film. Number 99, playing a great season so far. Christian, again, man, really appreciate you hopping on this podcast. It was awesome just to get a little bit of the backstory, man. I'll be rooting for the rest of the season, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. Really, really appreciate it.